two there should be, no more, no less. One to embody the power, the other to crave it. Hello everyone, it's me, the Rambling Collector, once again, with a new video for today. And today we are going to talk about one of my personal favorite Star Wars books, Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. Now, to be quite honest with you, this one still stands as one of my personal favorite books to read, and I could actually reread it again and again and again. And mainly for the fact that the story itself is so gripping. And the fact that it covers not a Jedi, nor a smuggler or nothing. No, this talks about a very famous and well-known Dark Lord within the Star Wars community. Darth Bane, the founder of the Rule of Two Sith era. And from what I found out, this is actually the first of a trilogy, which I'm ashamed to admit, I have yet to pick up books 2 and 3 yet. Needless to say, I will be correcting that mistake at some point, because I really want to see how Darth Bane's story will end. And from here. And even now, I still remember a lot of details about this story. From how he started off as Dessel, a simple Cortosis miner, dealing with his fellow miners constantly harassing him, bullying him, a drunken father, and a miserable life on a barren moon. And it shows how, through a sheer coincidence, or perhaps the will of the Force, he winds up murdering a Republic soldier and is forced to go on the run to the Brotherhood of Darkness. Now, at this point in time, the Sith were not just two Sith lords, not one master, one apprentice. At one point, the Sith were mainly a massive legion of multiple Sith masters and dark side users. Now, what I really appreciate about this story is that it takes the place of Bane's character and how he studies all the ancient Sith masters, such as Darth Revan and Darth Malak, along with many, many others. And it shows him going from a simple Cortosis miner to a soldier in the Brotherhood of Darkness, just all the way to a Sith student, and then finally a master. I gotta be honest with you, his story was actually captivating the entire time. His time in the Gloomwalkers especially was really fun to read, as it shows a soldier on the front lines constantly scoring victory after victory in the war against the Republic and the Jedi. But what really gets you started is his time on Korriban, and as he studies under the Sith Masters of the Brotherhood of Darkness, but more importantly, how he studies the important histories of ancient Sith Lords such as Darth Revan. Now, I really like how at one point he actually faces his downfall, where after murdering a fellow apprentice during a duel, he ends up having a flashback to the time when his father randomly beat him half to death. Now, at that point, he finds out that he apparently had strangled his father with the Force, or was in his sleep. Needless to say, that was chilling. But it shows how he goes through a sort of morality phase, where he begins to question himself. And at that point, his power begins to fade. But over the course of his story, it shows how he goes to accept that he is in fact not a good person, that he is in fact selfish, and he chooses to embrace the dark side once again. And it shows a really great rise with how he masters his blade work, and he faces against one of the more powerful apprentices in there who he considers a major rival, and comes out victorious. Let me tell you, the detail is so good in this book with every time it goes to a duel that you can almost imagine the blades clashing with each other. Whether it be lightsabers or training blades. And it is absolutely gripping to listen to these duels as they play in your head. And in the final part of it, it shows how Bane sees the problems with the Brotherhood of Darkness, how over time the Sith have actually grown weaker as a legion because there are so many dark side users. And in order to counter that, he decides to look for a way to fix this. And it turns out, after finding a holocron from Darth Revan, he comes up with the answer. The Sith need to be wiped clean. And the slate needs to be cleaned of all fake dark side users, all the way from Lord Khan, the leader of the Brotherhood of Darkness, to the lowest apprentice. Meanwhile, as this is going on, you see the Brotherhood of Darkness and their constant war against the Jedi. And needless to say, a lot of these masters were actually really fun to read, especially, what's his name? Lord Kopex, a Twi'lek Sith Lord. And his character really fascinated me in how he seemed almost like an honorable warrior of darkness. Needless to say, that was really fun to read anytime he popped up. And I was honestly sad when he died at the end. I would have preferred if he actually lived. But moving on. So Bane decides to leave the Brotherhood and decides to go out on his own. He finds out the best plan and in order to make the dark side stronger, to make the Sith as a whole stronger. However, first he has to confront his old Blade Master, Kazim. And in one of the best fights in this book, he takes on his old Blade Master one-on-one. But the problem is, he nearly gets his ass kicked. Very nearly. The only reason he wins is because he summons a force push powerful enough to crumble an entire pyramid on top of this guy. Needless to say, that really shocked me when I first saw that. I'm like, holy shit. But then it cuts to one of the famous moments in old Star Wars, aka Star Wars Legends. Now, sadly, the Battle of Ruusan, where you see the Brotherhood of Darkness and the Jedi facing off against each other in a constant war of attrition. But you can really see how this is starting to weigh down on everyone there, because no one expected the war to drag on that long. No one, not the Jedi, and definitely not the Brotherhood. So you can see Khan starting to really strain himself. Until, of course, Bane arrives. And the way Bane manipulates the Brotherhood so well was absolutely fun to read, because he manipulates all of them to follow along with whatever he comes up with. And at one point, you actually see him using a dark side ritual with multiple other dark side masters, and it unleashes a practical storm upon the Jedi. And the whole entire time, I was just like, oh my god. But yeah, it all culminates in where he makes everyone desperate enough to win the war at any cost, that they start to create the ultimate weapon, the thought bomb, a literal concentrated explosion of dark side energy, in which any soul that is trapped within the center of this explosion, or even in the blast radius, gets immediately either evaporated, or you just have your whole soul sucked into this epicenter and locked in stasis forever. And I honestly really am excited to read more of this whenever I actually get the chance to do so, because I really want to see what happens afterwards. Because Bane successfully managed to completely eradicate the old Sith Order and start up the new Rule of Two, which is where there is only one master and one apprentice at a time. And it left off on a cliffhanger where he discovers this girl named Rain, aka Xana. He begins to see that she might actually be the apprentice he's looking for. So the next chance I get, I'm definitely going to be grabbing book 2 to continue this story further on and give you all an update on that. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day, and thank you for listening once again. This is a Collected Rambler signing off.